If you're doing this class on a carpet, you may want a slider if you have a slider, or a magazine or something that will allow your foot to slide on the carpet for this first exercise. If you are on a surface like this, or you have hardwood accessible to you, or laminate, or something that's a little bit more slippery, you could get away with just using a towel on the ground, or you can just throw a sock on, which I'm gonna do, honestly, because it's -35 here in Saskatchewan today when I'm filming this, and my feet are cold. So a nice excuse for me to warm up my foot for a minute. So we're gonna start with that exercise. What I'm gonna have you guys do is you're just gonna sit on the ground in whatever position you're comfortable. I don't really care what you do with the other leg. Put it wherever you'd like. And what's gonna happen here is we're gonna work on knee internal rotation, so our ability to spin our tibia inwards. And we're gonna work on one specific part of the car as well, simultaneously, that I notice a lot of people struggle with. So what I want you to do is set up with a relatively vertical tibia. We're gonna try and resist the urge to have that tibia slant in or slant out, especially slant in, because that'll mean it's trying to dodge internal rotation, which we're trying to work on right now. So what I'm gonna do is from this position, I'm just gonna see how far I can spin my knee inwards. Now, if you can do that with your foot on the ground, what you should notice is that when you spin your knee inwards, that the inside of your big toe does not lift. You want to keep that ball of your foot under your big toe on the ground as you spiral it inwards. Otherwise, you're trying to gather that internal rotation from your ankle. So that's something I want you to be mindful of the entire time here. We're going to spin that inwards, try to keep that spot on the ground, and then you're going to try to maintain that internal rotation, try to maintain that vertical tibia, and you're going to slowly slide your foot away from you until you get close to full knee extension, but we're not going to go to full knee extension. Basically, when you feel like your foot starts to lift off the ground, or you can't get any further because the whole front of your foot's going to come off, you can stop there. And then on this way back, as you pull your heel back towards you and press down into the ground a little bit so you gather some extra resistance, you're going to think about trying to spin your shin bone inwards more the entire time that you pull it back. And as you flex your knee, you should be able to gather a little more rotation on your way back while keeping that one bone, the ball of your foot, under your big toe on the ground the entire time. And we're just going to make our way back and forth here. You can kind of choose your own adventure in terms of resistance. If you press into the ground a little more, you're going to make yourself work a little bit harder. If you irradiate or you squeeze your muscles consciously a little bit more, same thing, you'll make yourself work a little bit harder. But really focus on the way back, trying to gather more internal rotation as you come back, thinking pull the earth towards you, and really trying to squeeze out as much internal rotation as you can as you come all the way back in space. We'll come back out for 3. Again, kind of applying some slight pressure into the ground as you slide that foot away from you. Trying to keep the ball of your foot under your big toe on the ground. Some of you may get a stretch in your ankle if you have tight ankles. And then we're going to pull back up. Coming back in. And as you pull in, you're gathering more internal rotation the entire way back. You're not just thinking pull straight back and keep your foot where it is. You're trying to pull that tibia into more internal rotation the whole way back, coming as deep into knee flexion as you can, and then sliding it back out. Nice and slow. Trying to maintain that vertical shin the entire time. Your shin will want to go in. Do not let that happen. Try to keep it upright. And like I said, gather more internal rotation. Don't just think about your foot. Think about your knee. Think about spinning that shin bone inwards as you come back. Find full knee flexion. Then we're going to do one more here. Make sure we really got a good grasp on this. Sliding it back out. Now, when you think about doing your knee cars, so this is where I say this is kind of specific to your knee cars as well and improving that part. When you have your foot out and you go from an externally rotated to an internally rotated position, people often just leave it there. You don't gather much internal rotation when your knee is mostly straight. It's actually less accessible to us just based on our anatomy. And so people forget to gather more rotation as they start to bend their knee. So I want you to apply this to your knee cars as well. And when you're pulling that heel back towards you and you're bending your knee when you're doing knee cars, you really want to focus on pulling that knee into more and more internal rotation, gathering as much as you can on the way back as you bend your knee, which we'll now apply after when we get to the knee cars in this class as well.